thing about life is...
Good morning, guys. A beautiful Thursday. The sun is out and everything is nice. Welcome to the channel. Please, if you're joining here for the first time, subscribe. If you've also subscribed, it's important for you to like. Let's interact on the comments and let's push this channel further. We're also launching a TikTok account. Yes, I'm on TikTok now. And we're also going to do Facebook and all the other social media platforms that are actually there. So we keep pushing and we keep growing. So today actually I want to focus on my pain. I consider the love of my life. And literally, she was the girl of my life. Because from the moment I met her, I felt she was way beyond my limits. I felt to them as a class anacheza ni ile juu. And I knew I couldn't get her. However, since I was a footballer in the school, and footballers were always lucky, and for some reasons, this girl also liked me. Now, here is the thing. We started talking, and we kept talking. I'll not mention her name, but I'll give her name, her nickname. Everybody in the school used to call her Skylark. And people used to call her Skylark because her father had a matatu, and the matatu's name was Skylark. And since the school was actually just near where the matatu was operating, she would literally come to school with the matatu and go home with the matatu. And technically, that's how the name Skylar came to existence. Me, on the other end, I was Mjomba. And I was Mjomba because of the naughty things I used to do. I wasn't a very good student. I used to pass my exams. I can't say I used to fail. However, I was never one of those people in Mnachop. And I was never one of those disciplined boys in schools. I was always ruly. I was always making mischief. Whenever there is something wrong, I would be there. Yet, because I'm Jomba, nobody would actually point at me, which is something I liked or I didn't like. But after talking to Skylark for a while, Skylark now became my girlfriend. Story inaanzia hapo jamaa. So we were dating ile ya shule. Wale wenye mnajua dating ya shule ni gani? Ni mnakuja shule, break time mna hang out pamoja, lunch time mna hang out pamoja, games time ikifika anakubebea boots za ball, naenda nazo ball, nacheza, nikishacheza tukirudi tunaachana. That was it. It went on and on and on, and we became the couple of the school. Kila mtu anatupenda. So the first roadblock came here. Baba ya Skylark, and in this case Skylark, was of a different denomination to me. So technically, she was a Muslim, I am a Christian. So the challenge started there because according to her father, Skylark was supposed to be married to a fellow Muslim. I don't know whether it is true. I am not pushing a religious debate. I am stating my pain and my life. So her father started hearing rumors that kuna kijana anasumbua msichana wake. And now it became a game of cat and mouse. Every time I would run around, every time I would walk, every time ninashinda nikitoroka. But mapenzi yameendelea. So every evening, because I didn't come from a well-off family and we used to struggle at some point, I used to, at times, walk from school to home. Now, walking from school to home was around 11 kilometers. So I really used to walk for around 1.5 hours or 2 hours. So whenever Skylark had money, she would give me, or we would board matatu yao, nifike town, then from town I would walk all the way home. I never minded that. I was a fun, loving person who actually considered himself walking, and I found walking as one of those interesting hobbies I would technically do. So it never was a big deal to me. So the issue that now started coming about was at some point while we were boarding the matatu, I remember very well I met a friend of mine who was running an NGO in Eldoret. That friend of mine anaitwa Wafula. So since nilikuwa kwa matatu na Skylark, I introduced Skylark as my girlfriend to Wafula, who was my friend. But Wafula alikuwa ahead of me in life because he was already doing his thing. He already had his thing. So he was figured out his life was somehow mbele yangu. Now when I introduced them, niliwa introduce na tulipofika town tukashuka, we proceeded with our life with Skylark, Mia akaenda kwao, mimi nikapanda nikaendelea kwenda nyumbani, of course on my Futsubishi, walking. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa life jamaa. If you're watching this and you've never gone through hardship, guys, be lucky, be humble. If you're watching this and maybe probably you have children also, it's also important for me to take a break and tell you guys that at some point we have to try and help our children so that they don't end up the way we ended up. If I walk to school, my children should never now walk to school. That's a serious advice I'll share with you guys. But continuing, now, fast forward to several months, because that was when we were in Form 4. So when we finished Form 4, kila mtu akaenda na maisha yake. A bit of me and Skylark, we went separate because ameanza college, mimi nami bado nang'ang'ana kuhustle na ngoja kwenda campus. So there was that gap of we could not meet. Then those were the days when Ridiculous was the comedic group in town. Everybody alikuwa anajua Nyambane. Everybody was talking about Ridiculous and how they were acting the Moi stuff and they were impersonating people, and everybody really loved who Ridiculous were. So they came to Eldoret because this story is based in Eldoret where I grew up. So when Ridiculous walikuja Eldoret, me of course sina pesa, so I never attended it. Nilisikia tu wamekuja, and of course I watched it later on TV. But the reason why I'm pointing it out that way is because one of my friends attended the Ridiculous concert, and after coming out akanipigia na akaniambia mambo poa. Kuna story nataka nikwambie. And by the way, kunipigia simu doesn't mean alipiga mobile phone, because we used to have something called Adtel Adondo. Those were community booths, like literally ulikuwa unaenda unapiga. So I had a friend anaitwa Muturi who had one, so I used to hang out there. That's how the connection came in. So when I met this friend of mine, akaniambia hivi. Akaniambia manze, niliona Skylark na alikuwa na jamaa fulani. Huyo jamaa ni mweusi hivi anakaa hivi. From the description I'm seeing like, this sounds like boss, huyo anakaa fula. But it's life. Hawezi kaa useme ni yeye na si yeye and then continue. So I assumed it. Now, after a while again, I now met Skylark in town. I meet her, she's still my girlfriend, but hatuonani. But I meet her, and manze dema na mimba. The girl was pregnant, the lady is pregnant, like serious, heavily pregnant, and 6 months into it or 7 months. Very big, easy feature. Guys, I've never felt as frustrated as I felt on that occasion. Because to me, Skylark was the woman. Skylark alikuwa dem manze, mimi nilikuwa najua na end up na me my future. I was willing to risk nisiende shule. I was willing to risk nianguke exam. I was willing to risk a lot about my life as long as we end up na Skylark. And any guy who knows me during those days will tell you that this guy ali risk a lot for the sake of this woman. But she was pregnant. And that's not the problem, because being pregnant is okay. Labda aliona mimi siko, labda mimi nilikuwa mjinga, labda mimi sikuwa najua shughuli za siku. But the funny thing is, the person who pregnanted her was none other than my friend Wafula. So you can imagine the pain now I felt at that particular moment. Your friend who you connected or you introduced to your girlfriend ended up pregnanting your girl. That is the pain. I know guys will laugh at me. I know guys will think that these stories are jabba. Yes, maybe. But trust me, that is the pain I went through. As a 19-year-old boy, as a boy who felt he was so madly in love at that age, that is what I ended up with. And the moral behind this is, I'm trying to push people to understand that we make mistakes, but we should never live by those mistakes. Because I've always asked myself several questions. What if after the Ridiculous night, because I'm assuming that is the night of conception, what if after the Ridiculous night, maybe I met Skylark and we also had sex? Because probably ningekuwa ninalea mtoto mwenye si wangu. One person's misfortune is another person's fortune. And it really calls out to us ladies and us men. Would I really be here if maybe I had taken Skylark as my wife those days? Would I be here? I don't know what happened between the two of them, but all I know is it really broke me because I loved this person at that specific time. I never did anything wrong to them, but eventually they left me. Wafula was probably a better sweeter. Wafula had money during those days because I don't think Wafula was a struggling person. I didn't have money. It's the same problem we keep talking about nowadays. We keep saying that dem aliacha akaendea mtu ado, and you keep being bitter about it. You're always bitter, aliniacha kwa nini, huyo dem anapenda pesa, huyo dem hapendi pesa. Who doesn't want a good life? I'm sure I want a good life. I'm sure right now where you sit, you also still want a good life. So guys, let's learn from the story of Skylark. Ukiachwa, achika. Build yourself. Build your frame as a person. Build your frame as a man. Build your frame as a lady. Because all those years, it's currently around 21 years or 22 years ago. I don't know where Skylark is. I go to Eldoret, it has been built, it is very different. I still do not know where she is. What if I messed my life? Will I be here? Where will I be? Guys, till next time, subscribe.